Consideration of Ways and Means Motion number 27 regarding the budgetary policy.
Order. I have been quite lenient hearing quite a few points of order, and it's important to hear them. However, as I've said a few times, I'm subject to a House order. Mr. Morneau, seconded by Mr. Murray, Ms. Murray, Vancouver Quadra, moves that the House approves in general the budgetary policy of the government. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Like kids their age should be. But it was clear to me from their questions and from their simple interactions how much they cared about each other, about their community, and about the world beyond it. It was a good reminder of what's at stake and of who was counting on us to get the big things right.
Today, I am happy to share our government's fourth budget, entitled Investing in the Middle Class. The title should come as no surprise, Mr. Speaker, because investing in the middle class began with our first day in office, and it's what we've been doing every single day since. Investing in the middle class means good, well-paying jobs today, and the promise of a better future, even in a world filled with change. The interpreter apologizes. She cannot hear the minister.
I want to remind members that delay is a tactic that is permissible up to a certain point in the House. Obstruction is not. I am the servant of the House, and as a servant of the House, I am acting in accordance with a House order, and I'm required to allow the matter to continue. The Honourable Minister of Finance has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, just to reiterate, we came into fall of 2015 stuck in the economy. Wages were stagnant. Consumer confidence declined. Those are the facts. That was the outcome of years of cuts and failed extending measures. That's what happened when the government decided to try to balance the books at any cost, no matter what it meant to the community or for this country.
one that was confident and ambitious. Again, the interpreter apologizes. She cannot hear the minister. Nevertheless, we have to keep those strong numbers in perspective, Mr. Speaker. If you are a young person still struggling to find meaningful work, a low unemployment rate probably doesn't mean that much. You just want a chance to make a decent living doing work that matters to you. At the other end of the spectrum, maybe you're just someone with a few decades of work experience, but you're worried that the good job you have today might not exist in another 5 or 10 years. Good GDP numbers don't mean a lot when the job you need to feed your family is on the line. There's a growing sense of uncertainty taking root around the world. Mr. Speaker, and Canada is not immune to those worries. Again, the interpreter apologizes. She cannot hear the minister. With this budget, Mr. Speaker, we are continuing with our proven and successful plan of investing in the middle class. That means taking steps to ensure that more Canadians... Again, the interpreter apologizes. She cannot hear the minister.
Order. I want to remind members of Standing Order 82-2, which provides an order of the day for the consideration of a Ways and Means motion or motions shall be designated at the request of a minister rising in his or her place in the House. When such an order is designated for a budget presentation, the minister shall specify the date and time thereof, and the order shall be deemed to be an order of the House to sit beyond the ordinary hour of daily adjournment if required. At the specified time, the Speaker shall interrupt any proceedings then before the House, and such proceedings shall be deemed adjourned, and the House shall proceed forthwith to the consideration of the Ways and Means motion for the budget presentation. At 5 p.m. on April 27, 1989, Speaker Fraser was in the process of hearing arguments concerning a question of privilege raised concerning an alleged budget leak. He interrupted the arguments, which he agreed to give a further hearing to at a later time in order to permit the budget presentation. At that time, the Speaker stated, Debates, April 27, 1989, at page 1060. The difficulty the Speaker is in this present situation is that while fully understanding the position of the official opposition and the Democratic Party, and fully understanding the reason for it, the fact of the matter is that we now have a House order which was passed by the House. I can see no way that I can unilaterally change that. He continued after indicating his intention to hear further argument. However, while I do not know what may eventually happen on the privilege issue, I do know what the House has done with the special House order. I must advise honourable members that I am bound by it. Therefore, it is my duty to recognize the Honourable Minister of Finance. Now, the honourable member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley is rising on a brief point of order.
Thank you, Speaker. Very, very briefly, thank you for that ruling. Of course, in the past number of minutes, as the Finance Minister... That wasn't me. I swear that wasn't me.
He's there.
He's
there.
As I attempted to, I see there's an emergency alert, but unrelated. Thank you, Speaker. As I was attempting to listen to the Finance Minister deliver the budget speech, it was, of course, impossible for any member, I believe, in the House, even those perhaps adjacent to the Finance Minister, to hear the speech. It's a privilege. It's a long-standing privilege in this place. We are able to hear one another, even amongst the rigorous debate that this House sometimes enjoys. I wonder if there might be a path forward through you, Speaker, to allow the small discussion that was attempted prior to the speech taking place so that we could actually continue on with the House business of today and hear the speech in some way so that members of Parliament and Canadians through us can understand what the government is proposing in their budget. Thank you.
The honourable member for Carleton is responding to the same point of order. Briefly,
Yes, the point that I was attempting to raise earlier on is that the Finance Minister already presented the budget earlier today at about 5 minutes to 4 o'clock. That was his budget presentation. He was given the opportunity to do so. It just so happens that that presentation occurred before the closing of trading on the financial markets, which is a breach at the very least of good management and possibly something more serious. But the reality is the Finance Minister has had an opportunity to speak once already. If you're going to let him speak twice, then why is it that the former Attorney General has only had an opportunity to speak once and cannot speak again?
Thank the honourable member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley, honourable member for Carleton, for their comments. Of course, the Finance Minister rose earlier on a point of order. He's now speaking on the Ways and Means motion and is for the budget presentation. Therefore, the Minister of Finance has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for allowing me to proceed. It's obviously been a pleasure to start this speech. I hope that you've heard the parts that I've already delivered, but I do want to continue from where I was. And what I was getting at was some things that we want to do in the housing market. And in particular, I was talking about the fact that we want to take action to crack down on the people who break the rules, who evade taxes or use real estate for money laundering, making housing less affordable for the people who need it. I want to help more middle-class families find an affordable home today. We're offering new, targeted support for first-time home buyers. This includes increasing the hours in home buyers' plan withdrawal $35,000 to $45,000, just like the reality of home prices today. And it includes a new initiative called the First-Time Home Buyer Incentive, which will allow eligible first-time home buyers to finance a portion of their home purchase to share that new mortgage and hand the mortgage to housing lenders, CMHC. The incentive will give eligible buyers a new source of funds that they can use to help keep their monthly costs low. Hands on, that's something we do actually in legal planning. I think we had some a year ago now. They also put on the app and listen to good go after them and good science and so I can have a go. Second issue, I think this is good benefit. Really the matter of
Order. I'm going to go very briefly to the Honourable Leader of the Opposition on a point of order.
Yes, on a point of order, Mr. Speaker. This is the actions of the government today have been unprecedented, have been an assault on democracy. They have shut down the only public investigation into the Prime Minister's SNC-Lavalin corruption scandal, a scandal which touches upon the Finance Minister himself.
Yeah.
The Finance Minister is today presenting a budget after he has been implicated in an unprecedented assault on the independent rule of law. And Conservatives will not sit idly by while Liberals destroy the integrity of our justice system.
Thank the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. The Honourable Minister of Finance. Order.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for recognizing me.